Hello, welcome to VetNet. My name is Kevin Schmiegel, and I'm the Executive Director of Hiring Our Heroes at the U.S. Chamber of Commerce. If you're a veteran joining us for the first time, you're joining us for an overview of Hiring Our Heroes. Over the course of the last several weeks, three of the country's best nonprofits have joined forces to launch this program called VetNet in collaboration with a great technology company, Google, on Google Plus technology. Our goal over the next several weeks is to build this out so that there is a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week career resource center for veterans and military spouses and help them in their search for meaningful employment. We're working collaboratively with the Institute for Veterans and Military Families at Syracuse University and with an organization called Hire Heroes USA, which is based in Atlanta, Georgia. As I said today, I'm glad that you tuned in. I'm getting an opportunity to talk to you about the program that I've been fortunate enough to be the executive director of since March of 2011. A little bit of background about myself. I'm a Marine veteran. I served for 20 years. I retired in 2009. My time as a Marine was spent largely as an artillery officer, but I also had several tours in the manpower part of the Marine Corps, in dealing with human resources assignments and retention of enlisted Marines specifically. And I was also the aide-de-camp for General Jim Jones, the 32nd Commandant of the Marine Corps and the 14th Commander of NATO forces. I want to give you an overview of our program and then entertain any questions. So if you're a veteran who's tuned in, over time when we do these overviews, we'd like to get you to join the Hangouts, to actually participate as a panelist so you can ask your questions live and be on the panel with me. For today's format, we'll take your questions either here through the Google Plus technology or through YouTube. So feel free to send your questions here and I'll be sure to answer them. Okay, so getting through this overview, I founded the program in March of 2011 and have served as the executive director ever since. When we launched the program, you should know that the U.S. Chamber of Commerce is the world's largest business federation. We represent 1,600 local chambers of commerce. We represent 600 different trade associations. And together with those bodies, we also represent 3 million businesses across America and across the world. So the Hiring Our Heroes program was born inside of that. And we've been very successful in what I describe to people as creating a movement. And how did we do that? We came up with a very simple concept that had two main parts. The first part was that we would bring the public and private sector together in a collaborative way. We saw lots of efforts out there between the government or the government on its own, nonprofits, and the private sector, and we felt like we had to bring them together. The second part is we had to do it in local communities. We know that when people are hired, leaving the military, it's done at the local level. So we came up with a very simple concept. We decided that we would do hiring fairs in hundreds of communities across America. And since we launched the program in March of 2011, we've done 400 of those hiring fairs. And as a direct result of that, more than 14,000 veterans and military spouses have landed jobs. And we're still collecting data on the last 6 months. In addition to that, we should point out that hundreds, almost close to 1,000 businesses have now hired at those hiring fairs. In addition, those close to 1,000 companies have also committed to hiring close to 200,000 more veterans, and not just at hiring fairs, through their own programs and processes. And to date, another 80,000 on top of the 14,000 have been hired by those companies. So again, this was about creating a movement from the start. I want to talk to everyone in the audience about what we plan to do over the next year, because I think 2013 promises to be an exciting year for our program, and hopefully will help tens of thousands of veterans and military spouses land jobs as a result of the new programs we're rolling out. As the executive director of the program, I decided that the best way to bring this program forward is to take the brand that we've built, Hiring Our Heroes, and the visibility that we have across the country and local communities, and to leverage that in a way where we can help the populations of veterans and military spouses that need it the most. So our focus over the next 12 months, at least in 2013, is to pay particular attention to three populations: post 9/11 veterans, who are suffering from higher unemployment than the rest of the population, the non-veterans. If you look at the last 3 years, in 2010, post 9/11 veterans had an unemployment rate of 11.5%. In 2011, that grew to 12.1%, and now we're seeing it drop, but it's still above 10% over the last 12 months on average. So we want to address that issue. Within that group, we also want to look specifically at veterans under the age of 25. And we're really looking at, for the most part, enlisted men and women who are leaving the military, who have left the military recently, E5s and below, who are looking for employment. They have a staggering rate of unemployment. Last year, it was 29%. We expect it to be, as 2012 figures come out, we expect it to remain in the mid 20 percentile. So this is significantly higher than non-veterans, almost twice as high, and we felt that we had to do something about that as well. And the third population we're dealing with, which we'll host panels on as well and host workshops and the like, is for military spouses. They suffer from 26% unemployment. And the reason we're focused on them is we feel that their unemployment will affect the career force for our military, as well as our Guard and Reserve, and will affect national security. So focusing on those three populations, why are we doing that? Well, we think that they have two unique challenges across all three populations. One, they don't do a very good job of marketing or branding themselves, of giving an elevator pitch to employers. They don't tell a story about what they did in the service, or what they did as a military spouse to support a family, or to work in a job, or to support a single family household. For veterans, clearly they learn specific skills in the military, and we want them to do a better job, especially younger veterans, of telling a compelling story to employers so that they're hired over the next person that walks in the door. I'll tell you, I've been to dozens of hiring fairs across the country, and I listen to young men and women from our military, veterans, talk to employers, and they don't do a good job of talking about what they did in the military, of branding themselves. The second thing that we want to address is the fact that military service members, veterans, and military spouses don't make an informed decision when they leave the military. They largely make a decision of the heart. And what do I mean by that? When I was the head of enlisted assignments and retention for the Marine Corps, my last tour, I talked to thousands of young people every year about their decision to stay or leave the Marine Corps. And more often than not, 3 out of 4 Marines leave after their first 4 years, and they leave with their families. And when I talked to them about what they were going to do next, they would often say, "Sir, I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm just going to go home and I'll figure it out when I get there." And that is truly a decision of the heart. They're basing their search for a second career based on where they have a support network, the home they left behind, or their wife's hometown. And we want to address that issue through very real programs. So Hiring Our Heroes, in addition to doing 200 more hiring fairs in our third year across the country, is going to focus on 5 different things. At each of our 200 hiring fairs, our goal is to have transition workshops. If you look at our map of hiring fairs across the country, you'll see that we're dotted across all 50 states. If we have a presence in all 50 states and 200 cities going forward, we have a responsibility to do other things other than just connect veterans and military spouses with employers. So what we're going to try to do is roll out a very comprehensive transition assistance program that will complement what the Department of Defense currently has online as service members leave, because there are a lot of veterans, close to 780,000, who are out there looking for work. And if we're going to be in 200 communities offering hiring fairs, we might as well offer resume workshops and interview techniques and the ability to connect with mentors and to give classes on various things, challenges that veterans face. Along those lines, we are also expanding our program through the work that we have with other companies. So right now, we already have a partnership with General Electric, and they're going to do hiring fairs in 50. They did hiring fairs in our first year in 50 cities with us. So we have a precedent that's been set. You can see on the screen that one of those workshops taking place. there's a classroom instruction and one-on-one mentoring, resume writing, and coaching that occurs at those workshops. We'll be looking to roll that out, continue to roll that out with GE next year in 40 more cities, and in the other 160 cities, build on partnerships that we already have to offer good services on the transition side. The second thing that we're doing to address the three populations and the two challenges they have is something called the Personal Branding Initiative. Back in August with Dakota Meyer, who's a Medal of Honor recipient, we launched a very high-touch approach to this. And the basic idea behind this is veterans don't do a good job of branding themselves. We don't just want to talk about MOS or MOC. We want to talk about the fact that veterans are great leaders. They have management experience. They're accountable for equipment. They work well in teams. They have an incredible work ethic. All of the intangibles. So we launched a program in August to do this at our hiring fairs. So Dakota goes around the country, speaks at our events about his own challenges with talking to employers, telling his own story as a Medal of Honor recipient, and we also handed out a hard copy guide that veterans could look at, a trifold that they could look at. In the next several weeks, in March, we plan on launching with Toyota Motor Company's help and with Dakota Meyer online. And this toolkit will include a translator, but not an MOS translator. This will give veterans the ability to put in their schools and their deployments and their awards and their leadership billets, and it'll give them some key bullets that they can put in, and it'll spit out a resume. I think it's an incredible opportunity for folks to look at our personal branding site that's up right now. We have a static page where veterans can start registering to get more information about it. You'll see it online on the screen right there. That's a placeholder right now for people who are interested in this new initiative. In the middle of March, probably around the end of March, probably March 20th to March 27th, we will launch the translator that we talked about. And again, it will be to cover all the things you did in the military, not just your MOS. The third thing that we're doing is what you're taking place in today. It's the VetNet initiative. And the Chamber, at the end of February, the Hiring Our Heroes program will be taking this over as the primary manager. And we plan on loading this with content from companies on the Career Connections track, which you're joining us on today, to Mike Haney and the Institute for Veterans and Military Families on how to start a small business, the entrepreneur track, and then the basic training track will be full of information on getting you the skills you need to make your transition. VetNet, we hope, will become a very real program, a very real tool that you can use and your families can use to help with your search for employment. The fourth thing we're doing is a program that I think could be a game changer. It's called Fast Track. Fast Track is a program that tries to address the fact that service members do make a decision of the heart. When I interviewed young people, as the head of enlisted assignments and retention, they did talk about where they were going, vice what they were doing. If you look at exit surveys from the Department of Defense, continually young men and women talk about geography as a decision that drives their career search. So instead of focusing just on MOS, and you can go to dozens of search sites, dozens of job boards, punch in your MOS and get a zero search result in some cases. The problem we have right now with transition programs is they focus too much on fitting a square peg in a square hole. And some of us who served in the military don't want to do what we did in the military. We want to look for other opportunities. So what we've done is focused on the 100 cities in America. So you look at the map on the screen, the Fast Track program. If you look at the map on the screen, you'll see 100 cities. Those are the cities that are forecasted to grow the most in our country over the next 5 to 10 years. We know that to be true. So some of you who are joining us may have gone to a hometown that has high unemployment. When veterans and military families, or when service members are leaving, we want them to consider the 100 cities that have the most job growth, that have the most opportunity. The other thing that's really important about this is as you click on those cities, we want veterans to see the industries that are driving growth, the top 5 or 6 industries that are causing those cities to grow. Energy, healthcare, information technology, transportation, infrastructure, whatever is driving it in that city. If you go to Orlando, it's likely that tourism is a big industry. If you go to the state of Texas, Louisiana, you're going to see a big prevalence of energy jobs and infrastructure jobs because those states are growing to support all the different things that are going on in those states. So what we want through this map is to drive the decision-making process. We want to drive veterans to where the jobs are, what industries are hiring. The next phase of this, over the next 3 months, we're going to work with the developer so that when you click on a city and then see the industry that's driving growth, if it's information technology, you will find that a career path. And you'll be able to click on that and then see what are the 3 or 4 things you have to do to land a job in that industry, in companies that are in desperate need of skilled workers. The last thing we're doing, which is not a topic of the panel, is a program for military spouses. And what we found is military spouses have unique challenges. So we're going to grow that program. If you have a spouse looking for work, you should refer them to our career forum and hiring fair schedules for military spouses. We're running one of the biggest programs in the country right now. Information can be found on our site on the page that we show all the hiring fairs, and we also have a flyer that shows the upcoming ones that we put out to all the spouses on all the installations. This is open to Guard and Reserve spouses as well as spouses of veterans. They just need proof of their husband or wife's service in order to participate at the fairs. So that's a broad overview of the programs we have in place. We got a couple more minutes. If there's any veterans out there that have questions, I would like to open that up. In the meantime, I want to talk about the hangout that we have tomorrow. This is an opportunity tomorrow for veterans to join. We are going to feature the fast track program that I spoke about briefly. We invite veterans who are interested in the mapping tool that we've developed. So I'll go through it with them. I'll talk through it in greater detail and how we're going to approach the next 2 or 3 months and build that program out. The hangout will take place tomorrow at 3 p.m. Eastern Time. If you're interested in participating, please connect with us on the VetNet HQ site under Career Connections. Let us know that you're interested, and we'll make sure that we connect with you so you have all the tools you need to participate on the panel. Also, for people that are joining us today, we have a great lineup for this afternoon. At 4 p.m., we'll have both Bob Woodruff and Martha Raditz from ABC to talk about career opportunities in the media industry, but also to talk about some of their unique experiences and what they've seen out in the field with military service members, with veterans and military families, and to hear a little bit about their own passions for helping veterans and military families through the foundations and their various the books that they've written over the last 5 to 10 years. So anyway, I want to say thank you everyone for joining us for this overview. There'll be many more sessions like this. What we'd like to encourage all of you to do is to start participating on these hangouts as panelists. I'll open it up to as many questions as you want. You can talk about some of your own challenges, and of course ask us for advice on how you can use some of the tools that are out there and some of the relationships we have to land meaningful employment. Thanks and have a great day.